The US exchanges prisoners with Iran and unfreezes almost $6 billion in Iranian assets.
Ukrainian forces claim to have captured 2 key villages near Bakhmut, liberating Andriivka and Klishchivka from the Russians.
Russia's lawyers call on the International Court of Justice in The Hague to dismiss a genocide case brought by Ukraine. As Europe looks to promote public transport and reduce car usage, in Austria, the Klima ticket designed for that purpose has had mixed results.
Despite the lack of diplomatic ties between Washington and Tehran, US President Joe Biden and Iran's Mohammad Raisi managed to finalize a controversial deal that saw 5 American prisoners fly out of Tehran on Monday in exchange for 5 Iranians held by the US. Washington also agreed to unfreeze nearly $6 billion in Iranian assets to be held in Qatar and used only for humanitarian goods.
انسداد شده دارایی‌های مالی جمهوری اسلامی ایران در کره جنوبی هم خوشبختانه آزاد شد. امروز انشاءالله این میزان از دارایی‌های جمهوری اسلامی ایران به طور کامل در اختیار دولت و ملت قرار خواهد گرفت.
Among those released by Iran was Morad Tabaz, a British-American conservationist of Iranian descent who was arrested in 2018 and whose family had campaigned for his release. The prisoners released by the US were mostly held on charges of trying to export banned material to Iran, including dual-use electronics that could be used by the military.
Ukrainian soldiers have released footage of them raising flags over 2 villages near Bakhmut. First Andriivka and now Klishchivka. President Zelensky has congratulated them. Ukraine claims the victories will help them dislodge Russian forces from Bakhmut. An opponent says they're hollow victories.
Что касается самой Андреевки, населенный пункт находится сейчас, если брать по факту, в серой зоне. Там не имеет возможности закрепиться ни противник, потому что населенный пункт практически уничтожен. Также не имеет возможности закрепиться и наше подразделение, потому что погибнуть там можно, закрепиться и просто для каких-то там реляций информационных, то есть целесообразности на данный момент не фиксируем.
Russia's released pictures of its own artillery units somewhere in Ukraine, but hasn't commented directly on Ukraine's declared seizure of the 2 villages. As summer turns to autumn, it remains unclear if a pivotal turning point in the fighting can be expected before winter.
Russia is calling on the International Court of Justice at The Hague to throw out a genocide case brought by Ukraine. Its representatives have begun making submissions to the judges, arguing the case has no legal basis. Kyiv launched the action, saying Moscow's invasion was based on false allegations of genocide by Ukraine in eastern regions. In his opening address, Russia's lawyer repeated the Kremlin's claims about what he called neo-Nazis in Kyiv and compared the invasion of Ukraine with NATO's airstrike on Serbia in 1999. However, Ukraine says it's Russia that's guilty of genocide and that its attempt to justify the invasion turns the UN's Genocide Convention on its head. It could be months before the court decides whether the case can proceed. If it does go ahead, a final ruling on the genocide charges is likely years away.
After Bulgarian lawmakers decided to lift the ban on Ukrainian grain imports, farmers across the country have come out for a nationwide protest. At exactly 10 o'clock on Sunday, grain farmers and 20 organisations from the agricultural sector used heavy machinery to blockade 50 locations across the country, including the main Burgas Varna Road. Fruit and vegetable growers and beekeepers also joined the rally.
Защо нашата държава допуска да влезе на нашия пазар турски бокук във вид на грозде и да може да срине моята цена, при положение, че аз дори субсидия нямам?
Protesters also blocked roads in central Bulgaria, despite police checks on their vehicles.
Ние протестираме срещу вноса на зърно, млека, плодове и зеленчуци. Това е протест на целия селскостопански бранш на държавата, не е протест само на зърнопроизводители.
The main highway across the Danube at the border crossing with Romania was also blocked by heavy equipment. Farmers here say they were offended by the country's Prime Minister describing them as terrorists.
Протеста в момента изглежда с искания, които или техния проблем е решен, или с искания, които не могат да бъдат решени по начина, по който се иска, защото се слагат срокове, които няма как да се изпълнят.
In addition to stopping imports from Ukraine, farmers are also demanding additional funding from the state. Protesters from across the country are expected to gather at a large national rally in Sofia on Tuesday.
The devastated Libyan city of Derna on Monday, a week after catastrophic floods killed thousands and destroyed buildings. Search and rescue teams continued the grim search for bodies or survivors in the muddy wasteland of smashed buildings, crushed cars and uprooted trees. One survivor said he woke to a scream in the night to find his neighbours' houses flooded.
ونحن هنا في الطابق الرابع في الدور الرابع. هذه شقتي شقة عبد السلام النويسري في الدور الرابع. المية وصلت المتر وين على مستويين. هنا قدرنا نحن خذينا العائلات ورفعناهم وين؟ رفعناهم البير السلم ورقيناهم على السطح.
International rescue divers have begun recovering bodies from the port of Derna. It's now confirmed that many are trapped 12 metres underwater, some in their cars.
The thing was really striking for our teams that our people are shocked and traumatized. So even in the health centers at the moment, either the staff died or they are not able to work.
International aid efforts are slowly gathering pace. A team of French rescuers has set up a field hospital in Derna, but the risk is high for aid workers. On Sunday, 4 Greek and 3 Libyan emergency workers were killed in a road accident in the city.
Austria's government wants to convince more of its citizens to adopt public transport as vehicle emissions remain persistently high. So the Alpine Republic is pushing its new Klimaticket or climate ticket, an annual pass for all public transport, from city buses to high-speed trains.
Das Klimaticket ist eine wunderbare Lösung. Ich fahre sehr oft die Strecke Linz-Wien und das ist selbstverständlich ein großer Zeitvorteil, weil man in wesentlich kürzerer Zeit ankommt.
It costs around €3 per day, clearly a winner in terms of price, but is it enough to entice people?
Wir wohnen in Niederösterreich, pendel sozusagen dann in die Arbeit, natürlich nur im Zug, aber benutze es dann in Wien auch für andere Verkehrsmittel wie Bus und Straßenbahn.
Seit rund 2 Jahren gibt es in Österreich das Klimaticket. Doch nach einem anfänglichen Boom scheint die Nachfrage nachzulassen. Nur knapp 3% der Bevölkerung besitzen diese flächendeckende Fahrkarte.
Christine decided not to buy the Klimaticket since she can only get to work by car. When she needs to go by train, she continues to buy tickets individually.
Also ich kann mir nicht vorstellen, dass wir als Familie mal aufs Auto verzichten werden. Ich glaube, gerade im ländlichen Bereich wird man noch länger ein Auto brauchen.
Even though Austrians are the most frequent rail travellers in the EU, some parts of the country are still poorly connected, especially of course in the mountains. But according to one mobility NGO, the climate ticket is still a great success.
Zufriedenheitsanalysen haben gezeigt, dass der Hauptgrund für den Kauf dieses Klimatickets ist, sich nicht mehr um den Ticketkauf kümmern zu müssen. Also Bequemlichkeit. Man hat dieses Ticket, kann einsteigen und einfach die Öffis nutzen. Und ich glaube, das muss mehr oder weniger das Ziel für alle Öffi-Anbieter in ganz Europa sein.
For some months, a similar climate ticket has already been available in Germany, and now it's up to people to use them.
I had to learn how to help people in completely different states of despair.
In the heart of St. Petersburg, Sof, a volunteer at Center T, is currently inundated with a stream of desperate pleas for aid. The emails are from individuals in Russia's trans community grappling with uncertainty and fear as the parliament implements a controversial bill outlawing gender-affirming care.
We answer every day, every week, without holidays.
Center T, one of Russia's leading organizations supporting the transgender community, helps people get medical assistance, hormone access, and even safe routes out of the country. In July, Moscow passed a law that bans gender-affirming care, invalidates marriages involving transgender individuals, and prohibits transgender people from adopting or fostering children. It follows another bill earlier in the year outlawing any positive or neutral representation of LGBTQ+ culture in public spaces, popular culture, or even cinema.
Нам пришлось заморозить многие свои планы, проекты, связанные именно с региональным развитием, потому что у нас теперь есть этические обязательства. Человек, который выступает открыто под брендом Альянса, может быть признан иностранным агентом, и это влечет серьезные последствия.
According to Maria Arkhipova, a Russian trans activist and human rights lawyer currently based in Georgia, these laws can have a deadly impact on the country's LGBTQ+ community.
Люди оказываются в ситуации, когда они будут вынуждены заканчивать жизнь там, самоубийством, да? Там кто-то будет вынужден будет бежать за границу.
In the meantime, activists like Sof and Alexei choose to stay in the country as long as they can.
Если ставят вопрос именно между тюрьмой и отъездом, конечно, уже тут выбираешь отъезд. Но я стараюсь максимально долго оставаться, потому что я вижу, что многие люди не могут уехать, и ЛГБТ-сообщество нуждается в поддержке.